Good afternoon, I'm Meteorologist Bailey Braun, and I haven't been here for a minute, but I have missed some pretty important weather lately. We had our first snow, and now we're looking ahead to a wintry mix moving into southwestern Alaska, which is going to bring impacts statewide. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that and exactly what you can expect. So with our weather headlines, we're paying attention to this winter storm watch, which is issued for western Alaska from the Seward Peninsula all the way down into the YK Delta. So we're going to see these impacts rolling into mostly the Aleutians, but we will see this also spanning in to the Alaska Peninsula, the YK Delta, and we're also going to see a little bit more of those impacts shifting into south central and into southeast, and that snow that is likely for Monday into south central is one of those impacts that I will be talking about today. Now, just looking at our jet stream forecast, you can see this big purple orb looking thing, and that's our low pressure system that we're paying attention to. You can see that it starts to shift towards southwestern Alaska by Sunday morning, and that's when we're going to see these impacts rolling through tomorrow morning. Mostly for the Aleutians, you're going to see those impacts mostly there with those strong winds as well as that heavy rain, but we are going to see a little bit of those winds moving into southwestern Alaska before a shift happens moving into southeast Alaska. So just looking at our satellite and radar, you can see that low pressure system just hovering over the Aleutians right now. That's just that big circle, and that's that big cloud shape that we're seeing from that low pressure system. So we're going to monitor that, and that's what we're paying attention to. And you can see it right there, bringing in that band of moisture across the Aleutian chain, spanning up into the Alaska Peninsula, but then by early Sunday afternoon, we're going to see these impacts shifting more so into southwestern Alaska and a little bit up north into the far northern portions of western Alaska and the Seward Peninsula. So you can already see that branch of snow pushing in. That's going to be in Dillingham as well as Bethel, where we can see just a little bit of snow, not too much. Between a trace and 1 inch is what we're expecting for southwest Alaska. But then another thing I want you to pay attention to is that big band of green right there in the Gulf of Alaska. So that's actually going to shift towards southeast Alaska, and that's that front pushing across from that low pressure system, and that front is going to bring in some snow to those higher elevation regions and then rain to those lower elevation regions. Now, that branch of moisture is what we're seeing for south central for Monday morning. That's what we're going to see with that snow moving in. That's mostly going to be for Seward and those more southern portions of the Kenai Peninsula. We're also going to see a bit of snow moving into the Copper River Basin as early as tomorrow, but more of that snow is on the way for Monday. So expect between 1 to 3 inches for Anchorage and other portions of the Kenai Peninsula. Now, I had mentioned that the Aleutians are going to be one of those areas that are going to see most of these impacts from this storm, and Unalaska is going to see the strongest wind gusts. We're going to see gusts around 40 hitting around Sunday morning, but we could see gusts up to 55 miles per hour, and that's true for most of the other islands as well. But we're going to see slightly lower wind gusts moving through southwestern Alaska. Like Bethel, we're going to see wind gusts up to about 40 miles per hour. So that's kind of the max we're expecting for Bethel, but then for Unalaska, expect max wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour. Now, looking at our rainfall, for the next 3 days, we're going to see about 1.5 inches of rain moving through by the end of the storm cycle for Unalaska, about 1 inch into Cold Bay. We're getting closer to 1 inch in St. George, but you can already see that the islands of that in Alaska are mostly that area that we're going to see the highest impacts for both rain and for winds. You're going to see about 1/10 of an inch in Bethel for rainfall, but then more towards southeast is where we're seeing a little bit more of that rain falling, about 1/4 of an inch expected in Juneau, and then we're going to see just a little bit more than that, closer to 1 inch up in Yakutat. So that's mostly where we're seeing those higher impacts in southeast is Yakutat. The more northern portion of the Panhandle is where we're seeing more snow and more rain. Now, looking ahead with our snowfall, you can just expect to see between a trace and 1 inch of snow moving into southwest Alaska. We're going to see about 2.5 inches into McGrath, but then we're going to see just a little bit in Anchorage by Monday. Now, this is mostly for Monday moving into Tuesday, mostly in the afternoon hours, but then you'll see that Seward and the Copper River Basin is highlighted in purple, where we're expecting to see just a little bit more snow than that. And then those higher elevation regions spanning down into the Panhandle, we'll see just a little bit more snow as well. Now for southeast, we're mostly going to stay dry tomorrow, except that's going to change moving from Sunday night into Monday morning. So enjoy those dry conditions while you can before that change comes to wrap up the weekend. Those temperatures are staying pretty warm considering the fact that snow was on the radar. We're mostly expecting to see that snow in higher elevation regions. These temperatures are not sustainable to have any snow sticking to the ground. So if you see snow, it won't last. You're mostly going to see some rain pushing into the region. Now for the interior, we're staying mostly dry, some mostly cloudy skies moving in, but we're going to see an uptick in those temperatures pushing in towards midweek next week. So we're gradually going to see that climb in temperatures between 5 to 10 degrees warmer than what we're currently seeing. So that's something to look forward to, but up in the North Slope, we're seeing mostly dry conditions, except for Wainwright, expecting to see some light snow moving on through. Now, western Alaska is highlighted in that blue color, and that's for that winter storm watch that we're paying attention to, and that's what I had mentioned. You have that chance of snow moving through with those colder temperatures and those high winds moving in as well. So we can see those wind gusts up to 50 in Gamble, but then in Bethel and Unalakleet, we're expecting around 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts. Now for the Aleutians, this is where we're paying attention to those higher impacts. We're seeing more of that rain pushing through along the Aleutian chain, as well as some snow potential into Dillingham, but these temperatures are still staying close to 40, even into the mid 40s in Cold Bay. So those wind gusts reaching up to 55 in Unalaska and 65 in Cold Bay. For South Central, we're staying mostly dry tomorrow as well, mostly cloudy skies in the more southern portions of the Kenai Peninsula. Temperatures staying pretty chilly, but then towards the Copper River Basin, we do have a chance of snow moving in for tomorrow, but then you'll notice in Cordova those temperatures sitting in the mid 30s, so you might see a little bit of a rain and snow mixture, staying fairly sunny in Whittier though. Then towards Matsu, and this is also relevant for Anchorage, we're going to see mostly sunny skies throughout the day tomorrow, but then we're going to see an increase in cloud cover by the later afternoon. So mostly sunny skies to start off your day in Matsu and in Anchorage, but then cloudier conditions by the later afternoon. So looking ahead with our 7-day, expect a little bit of snow on your radar for Monday, even a possibility of that shifting into Tuesday, but then you'll see that climb in temperatures that might affect our snow chances, bringing in more rain than snow for Tuesday. But then for Fairbanks, we can really see that climb in temperatures going from 2 degrees from today, moving into 14 tomorrow, and then just climbing up into the 20s by the end of the week into next weekend. So those are just a few things that you can expect to see from this storm. Now it's going to bring minor impacts when it comes to precipitation for western Alaska, just about 1/10 of an inch of rain for southwest Alaska, but we're seeing most of those impacts hitting along the Aleutian chain, and then some residual impacts hitting into southeast and into south central, like some snow to begin the week for Anchorage, and then even a little bit of rain as well as some winds moving into southeast. So that's just what you can expect for your weekend. Even moving into next week, I'll have more for you tomorrow on a little bit more accurate snow forecast for what you can expect in South Central and just for the state in general. So in the meantime, I hope you have a great rest of your night and enjoy the rest of your weekend.